Hello you guys. So as I promised in the last video, we're going to talk about switches. Now what are switches? Switches are basically kind of like if statements, but a bit more advanced, I would like to say, because it's like of a bit of a extended version of a condition, you know. So in the last video we've discussed conditions. I want to spend my time today talking about switches. So switches are really cool in the sense that you can use them instead of if statements, and it takes up a lot less space, therefore making our code look a lot cleaner, you know. So let's create a really simple switch based program. The program I'm going to do is a day picker. It may sound a bit strange for those who don't understand what I mean, but hear me out. So we want to define a integer. Let's call it day, and we're going to leave it as it is. Next, we're going to use what we've learned before. We're going to ask the user to type in a number to pick a day. So to do that, we're going to have to add the back pointing arrows, and type in a number to pick a day, and we're going to end it off like this and add a semicolon. So with that, we need to actually do cin to take an input, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, and load it into our day variable. So now we've taken care of the user inputting a number, which is what we want, obviously, because we want the user to be able to basically pick a number based on what they need. So now we're going to use our switch. Now what is a switch? As I mentioned, a switch works kind of like a if statement, but you can incorporate a lot of cases into it, therefore making it really powerful. So to do that, we're going to do something very simple. Let's create a switch, and for the switch, as its main point of determining basically from which variable it's going to decide what to do, it's going to be a day variable. So basically the thing that you type into these brackets, the regular brackets, it's going to pick as its sort of like a picker, you know. This is going to be referenced if it's going to pick a case, which I'm going to discuss now. So a case in a switch is kind of like a if statement. So if we were to do, I don't know, case 1, what we are saying in the if statement logic is if day equals 1. It's that simple. And what we can do is we can, I like to indent these so it's a bit more readable. And we're going to do couts to output some text. And we're going to add those left facing arrows again and something into the brackets. Let's do Monday for our first day, for example. Actually, let me then end it off by a line so that it doesn't do weird things. So let's end off the line here. I didn't have to do that, and that's it. And now we have to break it. What is breaking? Breaking is essentially defining the end of our case. So in our case, we can actually have multiple things to be executed. To compare this with an if statement, you would end an if statement with a bracket like this one. But in a switch, you can define multiple cases, therefore not eating up as much space, I would like to say. It also makes our code look a bit more professional, which is obviously what we want to achieve. So now we type in a break to end off our statement and add a semicolon. And that's our first case done. And we can add a bunch of cases into it, you know. So I'm going to basically copy all of this code multiple times in, and then we're going to create a default case. I'm going to explain what it is as soon as I'm done with this. Oops. I'm going to copy that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now I'm going to talk about the default case. So the default case or the default key is essentially, wait, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great, so we have 7 of these. And now we're going to define our default case. Now what the default case is, it's essentially a case that's going to be called anytime a number was typed in that isn't what we thought it would be. So we're going to copy this and we're going to write out that is not a day. Let's do that. So that is not a day. And I'm going to change everything else in here, but pretty much the gist of it is that it's going to output the thing that we need. So to really make sure that it does work, we're going to change these numbers, obviously. So we're expecting the user to type in from 1 to 7. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Check, that's it. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whoops, can't type, there we go, and Sunday. There we go. And we've defined our switch. So basically, let me explain what we've done here. So we've defined ourselves a variable called day. Then we ask the user to pick a day. Now I'm going to do this thing. I don't usually do this, but it is helpful to include in any form of code if you're expecting the user to type in a number. I recommend that you in the brackets type in what you expect the user to type in. Obviously it's not from 0, so you want to do 1. So 1 to 7, obviously, because we have 7 days in a week and we want to check if he picked one of those days. So from 1 to 7, obviously, 1 being Monday, 7 being Sunday. That hopefully is simple enough to understand. Next we take the number that the user has typed in and store it into a day variable. And then we just compare it. So if it's equal, I don't know, to 3, then it knows it has to write out Wednesday, end of the line, basically moving our cursor downward and doing nothing. You know, we could, you know what, to make it simple, to just keep it as it is, I'm going to show it to you that it actually does work. So to do that, we're going to open up a trusty little console. As you can see, I have it already prepared. All I have to do is just run this, it will compile for me, and all I have to run now is the switch.exe app. So as you can see, it wrote out a prompt for us. It's waiting for us to type in a number from 1 to 7. So let's do, I don't know, 6. As you can see, it wrote out Saturday, and that's it. That's all the program does. Let's do the same thing with, I don't know, let's do Thursday. Thursday. Really simple. But what if we typed in 0? That is not a day. What if we typed in 8? That is not a day. What if we typed in 128? That is not a day. So you can see we already implemented some sort of prevention function to make sure that no one just messes up our code so that it does work as it's intended to. And that's pretty much it for switch. There's not much else to it. I pretty much hopefully explained everything. The main thing to remember, if you can, use switch, but if it's not required, you can use if statements. They do the exact same thing. It's just that switches are more clean and more prettier to look at. So if you can, use switches because they're something really awesome. But if you do not need to, don't use them. If you are allowed to use if statements, use them, but to just show everyone that it is what you want to do, go ahead, use switches, they're pretty neat. In the next video we're going to discuss loops. So the two main types are while loops and for loops, and I'm going to discuss them in the next video. So until then, make sure to stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.